The 21st century, a beautiful time of the Industrial Revolution, because all of you don't understand that it came in the 19th century, not the 21st century. The time of good things, like, I guess, Biden, and bad things, like COVID and Putin. But if you think that modern day stuff is terrible and good sometimes, let me introduce you to a place called the 20th century, a time of a war that nearly ripped the world apart, another war that nearly ripped the world apart, a crisis that nearly ended the entire universe for humanity, and then 2000s. Today, I will be discussing the 20th century and the legacy it has. Besides Putin, because he was born in the 20th century. But yeah. So now we start out in the last year of the 19th century. The Industrial Revolution has started and ended, and the world is changed. And a certain tycoon named Andrew Carnegie, who likes making steel, proclaims world peace. And finally, the 19th century moves into the 20th century. And all of that goes to hell. Let's start out with all the bad stuff that happened here. Instead, talk about the good stuff, because, everybody cares about the bad stuff, not the good stuff. One day, in the 19th century, some nobles who own a business who makes a bunch of ships were like, how about let's build 3 giant ships to, beat out our other competitors. What? They're fast? Well, fast ships have no luxury. Let's make it slow, but humongous and luxurious. And everybody was like, no. 20th century. Okay, so what should we do? Now our enemies have now made the Lusitania, and it is a monster of a success. What should we do? Hey, do you remember, in the 19th century where we talked about building 3 giant ships? Yeah, I thought you said no to that. How about we do that? And they built it, and one of them survived, but they got rid of it. And 2 of them, the most famous, the Titanic, just wrecked themselves and sunk to the bottom of the ocean, where it still lies today, and for some reason is owned by different companies. So with that major, not a success of ships, they were like, okay, good thing there will be no more wars. And then some Serbian guy shot the archduke, who died. And, okay, listen in. Serbia shot the heir to the throne of Austria. Austria gets mad and declares war on Serbia. Serbia is friends with Russia, and Russia does not like Austria, so they declare war on Austria. And Austria is friends with Germany, so Germany declares war on Russia. Russia's friends with France, so France declares war on Germany. Germany goes through Belgium to get to France. England doesn't like that and joins the war. Then America comes in after the Germans did something that they should not have done, where they basically said, hi Mexico, do you want to join the war and invade America? That did not work out that well, because the British found that and immediately sent it to the Americans, who got pissed and joined the war after a few months. Step 2. The entire world is now in war. Africa is in war, a bit of it. America is not in war. It's nice there. There's just a lot of war propaganda, and everybody has either a grocery store job or a job that helps and benefits the military. Most of them the military, which causes a food shortage in the United States of America, which is kind of weird. By the way, at this time, America's not a global superpower, so let's see when they become that. Breaking news! Germany has surrendered! And they set a treaty on Germany, which is pretty harsh, called the Treaty of Versailles. I'm sure that won't cause any foreseen problems in the future, like for, say, a Second World War, right? In the 1930s, some weird man with a silly mustache comes up and it's like, I can save all of them. This man's called Hitler. And he starts a new party called the German Workers' Party, I guess, where they hate communism and loves fascism, which is something that a certain bald dude called Mussolini in Italy created. World War II happens because Hitler hates the Treaty of Versailles, and also Jews, which is pretty bad. Now, if you can't tell, this place has already been racked with war for a pretty long time. Fun fact, a revolution happened in Russia, and now communists are ruling the largest empire in the world, which is not good for America and Britain and everybody else who's not communist. Step number 2. The world is now in war. World War II is raging in Europe, but America is not joining. A certain United States president who can't move because he has a disease called polio decides to not go into the war. Then the Japanese spit on Pearl Harbor, so yeah, they have to join the war in the first place. World War II ends, and everybody is happy. But now there are two giant powers, communist Soviets and capitalist Americans. And they both have something called the nuclear weapons that can destroy an entire city in one shot. Even the clouds think that this is bad. And the war does not happen. But there's a giant cold standoff where Vietnam happens, Korea happens, and all of that happens. One day, they nearly blew each other up. And then the Soviet Union falls, and America is now the global superpower, which then ends the 20th century.